Hey everybody, and welcome to Motivational Monday, where you can learn how simple shifts in your habits can lead to profound results in the way that you feel and in the way that you look. So today we're going to be talking about food and drug interactions. So if you take medications, then you likely know that there are other medications that you should be aware of and not take with your medication in order to not create any secondary or adverse reactions. So these are called drug-drug interactions. But are you aware of the fact that certain foods can have a detrimental effect on your medication and can impair the absorption of them, or can have outright consequences to your medications? You may not know that. So today we're going to go over some top food-drug interactions so that you can be better informed and make the best food decisions for yourself and for your health. So the first category of medications are MAO inhibitors, and MAO inhibitors are antidepressants that work by blocking an enzyme that metabolizes an amino acid called tyramine. And tyramine, the more tyramine you have, the more it works as an antidepressant. The problem is that there are lots of foods that contain tyramine, and together with your MAO inhibitor can escalate the amount of tyramine in your system and lead to a hypertensive crisis, can really spike your blood pressure. So you want to be careful of foods that are high in tyramine. So those foods can be fermented foods, so like things like aged cheeses and cured meats. You want to be careful of chocolate. That would be something that's high in tyramine, and other fermented foods like miso and tempeh if you happen to be a vegan or vegetarian and you include those foods in your diet. So be careful of fermented, aged foods and foods that are high in tyramine when you take MAO inhibitors. So the second category of medications that I'll be addressing are anything that you take to help to lower your blood pressure. Those medications with black licorice. So lots of people like to snack on black licorice because they love the flavor of it, but the way that black licorice affects your blood pressure is like this. It helps to raise cortisol levels in your body, which is a stress hormone, which in and of itself can elevate your blood pressure. But in raising your cortisol level, it's disrupting a sodium-potassium balance that could further exacerbate high blood pressure. By disrupting this fluid balance, it's helping to retain fluid in your body and affect your blood vessels in a way that could spike your blood pressure. So be very careful of snacking on black licorice if you have high blood pressure or you take medication for blood pressure to help maintain it. So that would be your second thing to look at. So for the third category, I'm actually going to talk about the food first, because this food affects so many different kinds of medications that it really bears mentioning the fruit to start out with. So grapefruit. You might have heard that grapefruit is contraindicated with your medication. So specifically, you might have heard that with regard to your cholesterol lowering medication. But so many other meds are also impacted. Antibiotics, cancer medications, a whole host of things. So if you take any prescription medications, always ask your doctor, can I have grapefruit? The way that grapefruit impacts your meds and the way that they work in your body is that they block an enzyme that helps metabolize meds. So what that means is that those medications stay in your body longer, which could lead to increased toxicity or increased incidence of side effects. You definitely don't want any of that. So talk to your doctor or pharmacist no matter what medication you're on, because again, it affects so many different kinds. It could be very likely that what you're taking would be negatively impacted by eating grapefruit. So that would be number 3. Number 4 is the drug Coumadin. So Coumadin is often used for anybody that's had a cardiovascular event, whether it's a stroke or a heart attack. So what they use this medication for is to keep blood consistently thin levels so that it flows properly and no blockages happen. So when you are on Coumadin, it's very important to maintain this very, very delicate equilibrium with the viscosity of your blood. So 2 things you want to be mindful of is dark green leafy vegetables. So sadly, things like kale and spinach and chard, these things contain a lot of vitamin K1 that can clot the blood and actually work against the Coumadin. So you want to make sure that that's not happening. And number 2 would be things that thin the blood, so like fish oils or flaxseed oils. Here's what a lot of my clients do, because they need to eat these foods for other reasons, because oftentimes you see people with heart disease and they also have cancer and they want to eat antioxidant rich foods, is that they stay on top of their INR levels. They actually go to the doctor often, they have their blood drawn to make sure that they're staying inside a consistent level while they continue to eat these foods, but their doctor is constantly monitoring them. So they're really on top of their game. If you really like these foods and you feel like there's other reasons you need to include them in your diet, then you need to visit your doctor like every other week, have your blood drawn, and make sure that your Coumadin levels are consistent. If you're not going to do that, then you have to be very careful about including those foods in your diet because they could be working against your Coumadin. So number 5 applies to all your meds with a particular food group, and that food group is foods that are high in fiber. So I have oatmeal here as an example, but I often have clients that will use Metamucil or some high fiber cereal or lots of oatmeal in their diet to help manage, let's say, the cholesterol level, and they take it at the same time that they're taking your medications. When you take high fiber anything, so whether it's oatmeal or Metamucil, you're taking in something that slows transit time of those medications through your system. So you do not want to take your meds at the same time that you're eating high fiber anything, because it's going to slow things down and it's not going to get through you in the time frame that it's designed to go through you, which means that it might be in your system too long or it might be moving through too quickly. So in either case, you want to be careful of eating high fiber foods with your meds, because it can bind them up and it can impair their ability to work in the way that they were designed to work. So number 6 are salt substitutes, and unfortunately I don't have a prop for that, but salt substitutes are often made with potassium salts, and potassium salts, taking too many potassium salts in the form of these salt substitutes, can affect any blood pressure medication that you might be taking that works by regulating the amount of potassium in your body. So sometimes a doctor will prescribe a potassium medication to help with your blood pressure, but the synergy of taking potassium salts with that potassium medication might be too much. Additionally, taking in lots of potassium salts from these artificial or these salt substitutes can negatively impact your kidney health, and if you're struggling with kidney dysfunction or you've been diagnosed with any sort of stage 3 or stage 4 kidney failure, you definitely do not want to substitute potassium salts into your diet. So be careful of salt substitutes and make sure that they work for your body, and if you're not sure, talk to your doctor or your healthcare provider. So the last category is dairy and the effect that it has on antibiotics or certain antibiotics in your body, and also iron supplementation. So dairy contains calcium, and calcium, that mineral, has been shown to interfere with certain antibiotics and also interfere with iron supplementation if you're taking it. Also be careful if you're taking calcium supplementation with those foods, because they can impair the way your body digests and absorbs them, and it might interfere with the goal of that they're helping to achieve, which is overcoming an infection or helping to balance out your blood and repair an anemia. So be careful of dairy foods with antibiotics and your iron medication, and that would be suggestion number 7. So always know that in addition to medications being a problem with other medications, you have to be mindful of the foods that you're eating. In almost all cases, a diet that's rich in dark green leafy vegetables or flax or a healthy fruit like grapefruit or fermented foods or oats would be ideal. That would help to enhance your system. But for some people, once they're on meds for whatever reason, some of these foods might be working against them. And it may not mean that you have to eliminate them entirely, but it might mean that you have to control when you're eating them or stay on top of monitoring how those meds are working and how their efficacy while you're eating these foods, in order to enable to include them without damaging your body. So either you can talk to your doctor about it, talk to your pharmacist, do a little research on your own, but definitely make informed choices as you move ahead with regard to what foods you choose to eat with your medications. So now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been prescribed a medication only to find out that a food that you commonly ate worked against that medication? Or do you take Coumadin and have found a way to circumvent the issue of having dark and leafy vegetables with that Coumadin? Whatever your food and drug interaction has been or may be, I'd love to hear in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, you can click on the link below, and that'll bring you right to the blog and you can comment there. But I would love to hear your feedback, because not only will it interest me, but it'll help anybody else who is watching this video and reading your comment. Thanks for spending your Monday morning with me. It's always great to be with you. If you like videos like this and you want more of them, you can come on over to Barbara Mendez Nutrition and sign up for the mailing list there. Once you do, you will automatically receive an email from me every Monday with either a written or a video blog with a recipe, a suggestion, a tip, or some inspiration to help move you closer to your health goals. You can follow me on Facebook or Twitter, and if you know anybody on medication that's unsure how to navigate their diet that would benefit from this information, please forward the video to them. Thanks so much. Have an awesome week. Be happy, be well, and I will see you next time.